In this episode, we're going to look at some Halloween-themed forgotten 80s awesomeness. So, stick around. Hello, fellow dorks and dorkettes, and welcome to Nostalgia Syndrome. My name is Rob, and in this episode, we will be taking a look at some forgotten 80s awesomeness that is completely 100% Halloween-inspired. Not just inspired, but these are Halloween costumes that I thought were a little bit rare and unexpected. Ones that I never knew existed, and yeah, I think they are super awesome and they need to be talked about. As usual with Forgotten Awesomeness videos, I'm going to be taking a back seat and let the products have the spotlight. I'll be providing a voiceover as we talk about just how awesome, rare, weird, what have you, these products are. Like I said, this is going to be all Halloween costumes. Everything from Don Post to McCall's, if you know what that means. If not, you will shortly. Anyway, without further ado, let's get to number one. Okay, our first Halloween costume is of the homemade variety. And I don't mean using toilet paper rolls and duct tape or anything like that. I'm talking about something that requires true skill. This is a McCall's Ewok pattern set. And what you would usually get in these packs are like these huge patterns that you would actually pin down to the fabric so you can cut around it to get the proper size and shape of your project. Now, looking at the price, this thing was $4 back in the day. Now, I have no idea how much the materials would have cost, but this seems pretty pricey. I mean, just a smock and mask set wasn't really that expensive, but once you factor in labor, materials, and the pattern itself, you're probably paying a premium price. Now anyway, these Ewoks, let's be honest, look a little demonic, and I think that's what's so endearing about it. Now, I have a story about someone that had a impeccably awesome homemade Ewok suit. Now, back in the day when I was in Cub Scouts, we used to always do the Halloween parade in the small town that I grew up in. Well, one year, this dude in the most fantastic Ewok costume, handmade, of course, because you couldn't buy something like that, was speeding around, the downtown Main Street during the parade on a three-wheeler dressed as an Ewok. Kinda invokes the whole speeder bike Ewok scene. But he definitely looked great, and I was so jealous. I'm a huge Ewok fan, and to have a costume that awesome in my closet would have been... I would have worn it all year long. I would have worn it to school. I mean, yeah. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get to number two. Our next Halloween costume isn't very rare, it's not very weird, but it would have been one that I would have loved to have. This Smurf Ben Cooper set came out in 1982, and by 1982 I was a diehard Smurfs fan. I loved the cartoon. I had a whole bunch of the little PVC figures, and at that time it hadn't caught on as well as it did in later years. I mean, it didn't take that long for Smurfs to catch on, but you know what I mean. Anyway, this is a nice little smock that comes with this set. It's so colorful, and I mean, you are just a nondescript Smurf. You aren't hefty, you're not brainy, you're not vanity, you're not any of the named ones. You're just Smurf. Smurf number 100. And I think that's cool. I mean, it would have been awesome to get a hefty one, but this is just as awesome. And this reminds me, the same Halloween parade that the Ewok dude was in, a buddy of mine in Boy Scouts, or I'm sorry, Cub Scouts, dressed up as a Smurf. And he just wore like a blue turtleneck with a little heart sewn on the arm, and white pants with a little pom-pom tail. And I don't even remember, I think he just wore like a stocking cap, a white one. And I mean, that was awesome. And for the life of me, I can't remember what I even wore, but it definitely wasn't as crafty or awesome as both the examples I gave you. My parents were more of the, we'll find you some old clothes at the Goodwill and we'll go with that. But anyway, enough of that. Let's get to number 3. Our third costume, again, isn't very rare or weird or anything like that. I just find it mind-boggling that this character was chosen out of a huge roster of awesome characters. This is Superion from the Transformers, and he was a combiner that was created by the aerial bots when they would all join up. Now, there is a deep roster of awesome characters in the Transformers universe, so I just find it really odd that they chose Superion over any of those. I mean, they definitely released, the heavy hitters, Optimus and so on, Megatron. But yeah, I add this to the list just because I find that odd. Anyway, number 4. Number 4, added to the list just because I think it's rad as heck, and I would have loved to wear this when I was a kid. This is Masters of the Universe Beastman. Yes, the baddie and master of all beasts on Eternia had an awesome Ben Cooper set. You didn't get the lame picture type smock thing. You actually got like his actual body and armor, and it looks awesome. Around this time, they released He-Man, Skeletor, Beastman, and any one of them I would have been very happy to have. But like I mentioned, my parents never bought me any of these sets, no matter how awesome they looked or how excited I would have been. But yeah, I would have loved to have been Beastman one Halloween. That's awesome. Now to number 5. Our 5th Halloween costume is another very crafty, very homemade, and very awesome offering from McCall's. This is the E.T. costume. And you know what? I was lucky enough to find some actual real life examples of this costume that someone has for sale up on eBay. And yeah, it looks even more awesome than the picture that's on the package. Whatever kid was lucky enough to have this back in the day was, yeah, well loved by a very crafty mother or grandmother, heck, even father, who knows. But, yeah, this is one of those perfect little time capsules of the early 80s when E.T. was everywhere. And of course, they offered the plastic mask and vinyl smock, but just taking it to this level is something that is beautiful. And this is a neat little costume, and yeah, I wish I could just talk more about it, but this video is already running pretty long. Sorry about that. Anyway, let's get to number 6. Our next Halloween costume is outrageous. Truly, truly outrageous. This is the Ben Cooper Gem costume. And I added this to the list simply because I was really impressed that there was a Gem costume. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because in the 80s, there were so many awesome Ben Cooper sets, and Collegeville and other companies. And believe me, I have a treasure trove of them to pick from for future episodes of these. But yeah, I'm a fan of Gem. I'm not collecting the figures or any of that stuff, but I remember watching the cartoon and loving every minute of it. So it just piqued my interest that they actually made a costume. And yeah, I think it's truly outrageous. For our 7th entry, this is another costume that I simply added to the list because I thought it was pretty cool, and I don't remember ever seeing it before until I started researching this. And this is the real Ghostbusters Slimer outfit. And it has very colorful artwork for the smock, and the mask is kind of creepy, like in a Beetlejuice kind of way, because your eyes are in Slimer's mouth. So, very cool, very creepy, and I mean, you can't go wrong with Slimer. He's just a great character. Our next costume is another from McCall's, and this time around it is Gizmo. Now, this would have to be an undertaking to make. I mean, the ears alone, but man, this is awesome. Again, I was lucky enough to find one picture online of someone wearing one of these back in the day, and it's impressive. I mean, yeah, an Ewok costume would have been right up my alley. The E.T. one, awesome. But this Gizmo is definitely something unto itself, and it is, I mean, it is perfect. Yeah, it would have been awesome to run around town as Gizmo for Halloween. Remember when I said I shouldn't be surprised at what costumes came out in the 80s? Well, this one really surprised me because I would have never have thought anyone would have wanted dressed up as Vicki from Small Wonder. Now, I have to point out, the picture on the smock, she's coming out of a computer. And I can't tell if she has her arm like behind her head in a provocative pose, or if she's getting ready to punch somebody. Either way, it's disturbing on many levels. But I found an ad of different costumes that were being offered that year, and yeah, this just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb. I mean, what kid would want to dress up as Vicki? I don't know. Anyway, on to number 10. Our 10th and final Forgotten 80s Awesomeness Halloween costume is one that I definitely would have loved when I was a kid. This is the Kraken from Clash of the Titans. And as another anecdote, this year that this was probably released was the year that I went trick-or-treating as Perseus. And I just had a white bed sheet as a toga, had to wear long underwear underneath it because it was freezing, had a cardboard sword and shield, and I think I actually even wore like a knight's helmet kind of thing to kind of, the helmet that he didn't really have for that long in the movie. But this Kraken, I can't find much of a footprint of it online other than this picture. But I found a ad or trade magazine page that shows this costume along with Medusa, Calibus, and Bubo. All of those would have been awesome, and they would be great collector's items if you were to ever stumble upon them. I mean, a Bubo outfit? I mean, you gotta be kidding me. That is so awesome. Not as awesome as the Kraken, but yeah. Anyway, I don't regret my Perseus costume at all, other than the long underwear part. But this would have been just another great costume to wear that year. Okay, folks, that was a look at 10 80s Halloween costumes that I think are forgotten awesomeness. I mean, there is definitely a collector's market for those type of costumes. Heck, there's even a collector's market for the McCall's patterns that I've found online. So there are definitely people that remember these things and are in hot pursuit to get them for their collections. But to me, I think that they're forgotten, or in a lot of instances, I didn't even know that they existed. Like the Kraken, which is awesome, and Small Wonder, which is 100% not awesome. Now, I'm not taking anything away from any Small Wonder fans out there, but if you were going out trick-or-treating and you could have your pick of any Halloween costume, why would you pick that one? Anyway, I don't mean to be negative, but I hope you enjoyed this episode, and yeah, like I mentioned, I have tons and tons of pictures that I have found online from various sites like eBay and stuff of people selling their old Halloween costumes, and I'm collecting them in a big file that I call my Guide to Awesomeness, and in the future I can pull from that. I mean, it kind of stinks that I have to wait a whole year until next year's Halloween, so I might find an excuse. Maybe March of the Monsters, I can come up with some monster costumes to take a look at from the 80s. I don't know. But anyway, it's really late. I'm rambling. So let me let you go. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. If you got something to say, please leave a comment. I love reading them, and I love getting back to everyone. And if you're new around here and you enjoyed this, or any of the episodes that YouTube is recommending down here, please hit subscribe. And if you hit that little bell icon, you'll be notified whenever there's a new episode. So anyway, until next time, thank you so much for watching. Keep being rad and stay dorky.